The hospital fluorescent lights buzzed overhead like dying insects as Maya collapsed into the hard plastic chair, her hands trembling so violently she had to clasp them together to make them stop. She had just watched her mother's heart monitor flatline for the third time that night, watched the medical team surge around the bed like a violent ocean wave, watched them bring her back from somewhere Maya didn't want to imagine. The doctor said her mother had hours, maybe minutes. Maya was 23 years old, completely alone in a city of 8 million people, and she was about to become an orphan. Her father had left when she was 6, her mother was all she had. And now, sitting in this sterile hallway that smelled of disinfectant and despair, Maya realized she had never felt so utterly, devastatingly alone in her entire life. If you believe in the power of human connection, in second chances, and in the unexpected kindness of strangers who become angels in our darkest moments, please hit that like button. Leave a comment below, share this story with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to this channel. Because what happened next would change everything Maya thought she knew about loneliness, loss, and the invisible threads that connect us all. She didn't notice the woman sit down beside her at first. Maya was lost in her own private hell, replaying every argument she'd ever had with her mother, every time she'd been impatient or dismissive, every moment she'd taken for granted because she thought they had forever. She was drowning in regret when she felt a gentle presence, a warmth that seemed to cut through the cold hospital air. The woman didn't speak immediately. She simply sat there, and somehow, impossibly, Maya felt a little less alone. When Maya finally turned to look, she saw a woman who appeared to be in her 60s, with silver hair pulled back in a simple bun and eyes that held an ocean of understanding. The woman wore a tired cardigan and held a cup of terrible hospital coffee in her weathered hands. She looked like someone who had spent considerable time in these hallways, someone who knew intimately the particular agony of waiting. The woman smiled softly. Not the pitying smile Maya had received from nurses and doctors all night, but something deeper, something that acknowledged pain without trying to minimize it. Maya found herself speaking without meaning to, the words tumbling out like water from a broken dam. She told this stranger everything, how her mother had collapsed at work 3 days ago, how the doctors discovered the aneurysm too late, how Maya had been fighting with her mom that morning about something so trivial she couldn't even remember what it was now, how their last real conversation had been an argument, and how Maya would give anything at all, to take back those sharp words and replace them with "I love you." The stranger listened without interrupting, without offering empty platitudes, without trying to fix what couldn't be fixed. She just listened, and in that listening, Maya found something she desperately needed: permission to fall apart. When Maya finally stopped talking, her throat raw from suppressed sobs, the woman reached over and took her hand. Her skin was soft and warm, and Maya clung to it like a lifeline. The woman began to speak then, her voice low and soothing, and she told Maya her own story. 20 years ago, she explained, she had sat in this very hospital, in a chair perhaps just a few feet away, waiting for her daughter to die. Her daughter had been 17, bright and beautiful and full of dreams, when a drunk driver had stolen her future in a single moment of recklessness. The woman described holding her daughter's hand as machines breathed for her, watching her slip away degree by degree, feeling her own heart shatter into pieces so small she thought she'd never find them all again. The grief had been so enormous it had nearly swallowed her whole. She had stopped eating, stopped sleeping, stopped believing in anything good or kind or worth living for. She had become a ghost haunting her own life. But then something had happened, the woman continued, squeezing Maya's hand gently. A stranger had sat beside her in her darkest hour, had listened to her scream and cry and rage against the unfairness of it all, had stayed when everyone else had looked away because her pain made them uncomfortable. That stranger had shared her own story of loss, and somehow in the sharing had shown her that grief, while it changes you forever, doesn't have to destroy you. That stranger had taught her that carrying love for someone who's gone isn't a burden, it's a privilege. That memory can be both painful and precious, sometimes in the same breath. The woman told Maya that she had promised herself that night, if she survived her grief, If she learned to live again, she would come back to these hallways and sit with other people who were facing the unimaginable. For 20 years, whenever she could, she had kept that promise. Maya felt tears streaming down her face. But they felt different now, less like drowning and more like release. The woman told her something Maya would never forget. You think your last conversation with your mother was an argument, but that's not true. Your last real conversation with her was every moment of love you shared across 23 years. It was every time she held you when you were scared, every sacrifice she made to give you a better life, every proud smile when you achieved something you'd worked for. The argument was just one tiny moment in a vast universe of love. Your mother knows who you are, she knows your heart, and she knows you love her, even if you didn't say the words this morning. Love isn't erased by a single fight. Love is built from thousands of moments, and nothing can take those away from you. The words settled over Maya like a warm blanket, not eliminating her pain but somehow making it bearable. They sat together in silence for a while, two women connected by the universal experience of loving and losing, of being human in a world that offers no guarantees. When a nurse finally came to tell Maya she could go back into the room, the woman stood with her. She walked Maya to the door, still holding her hand, and then pulled her into a tight embrace. She whispered in Maya's ear, "Tell her everything you need to say. She can hear you. Don't hold back. And then, when the time comes, let her go. Give her permission to stop fighting. Sometimes that's the greatest act of love we can offer." Maya entered her mother's room with new resolve. She sat beside the bed, took her mother's frail hand, and began to speak. She talked for over an hour, telling her mother every memory she cherished, every lesson she'd learned, every way her mother had shaped her into the woman she'd become. She apologized for the argument, but more importantly, she thanked her for a lifetime of unconditional love. She told her mother she was scared, but that she would be okay, that she would carry her mother with her always, that she would live a life that would make her proud. And then, her voice breaking but her heart somehow steady, Maya told her mother it was okay to let go. She told her she didn't need to keep fighting. She told her she could rest now. Her mother died peacefully 20 minutes later, with Maya holding her hand and whispering "I love you" over and over like a prayer. The grief was still enormous, still crushing, but Maya found she could breathe through it. When she finally left the room, exhausted and emotionally depleted but somehow not completely shattered, she looked for the woman who had saved her. She searched the hallway, asked nurses and staff, but no one had seen anyone matching her description. The nurse at the desk looked at Maya strangely when she insisted a silver-haired woman had been sitting in the waiting area for hours. "We've been here all night," the nurse said gently. "You've been alone. If this story touched your heart, if you believe in the mysterious ways we're called to help each other, if you've ever been saved by unexpected kindness or want to be that kindness for someone else, please like this video, share it, and let us know in the comments below. Type "I believe in angels" if you think some people come into our lives exactly when we need them most. Maya never saw that woman again. Never found any evidence she'd been real beyond the profound impact of her words and presence. Sometimes Maya wondered if she'd been so exhausted and grief-stricken that she'd imagined the whole encounter, a psychological coping mechanism her mind had created to survive the unsurvivable. But it didn't matter. Real or not, that woman had been exactly what Maya needed. She had been proof that even in our darkest moments, we're not truly alone. She had been a reminder that grief is the price we pay for love, and that's what makes it sacred rather than just painful. 10 years have passed since that night. Maya is now a grief counselor who specializes in helping people navigate sudden loss. 3 evenings a week, she volunteers at hospitals, sitting in waiting rooms, looking for people who wear the same expression she once wore: lost, terrified, drowning. She sits beside them, takes their hands, listens to their stories, and shares her own. She has become the angel that was given to her, passing forward a gift she can never repay. Her mother's death changed her forever, but not in the way she feared. It broke her open, but also broke her free. It taught her that human connection is stronger than human suffering, that we can transform our pain into purpose, that every ending carries within it the seed of a new beginning. The night she sat next to a stranger in a hospital hallway, Maya learned that sometimes the people who change our lives forever are the ones whose names we never learn, whose stories intersect with ours. for just a moment but leave marks that last a lifetime. She learned that in our most vulnerable moments, we discover who we really are and who we're capable of becoming. She learned that grief and love are inseparable, two sides of the same coin, and that choosing to love despite the inevitable pain of loss is the bravest thing we ever do. And she learned that none of us are ever truly strangers, because we all know what it's like to hurt, to hope, to need someone to sit beside us in the dark and remind us that morning will come again.